Hey everyone, welcome to the Black Excellence series. Today you're going to find me with Margarite Reinert. She is an assistant professor at Briar Cliff University in social work. Could you please tell us a bit about your role as an assistant professor? And I know you're the director of field education as well. What does your day-to-day look like, or what are your responsibilities?
Every day is different, as everybody knows in the life of a college student or a professor. Every day presents new opportunities and challenges. My primary role in the Director of Field Education is working with students in their practicum or internship experiences. So, really prepping them to be able to go out into the field and making sure of making the connections of that what they've learned in the classroom and the skills and the theories and those kinds of things to be able to translate it into a hands-on real life work experience. Really trying to make sure to find a good match for where their interest area is, because social work being such a vast career field, there are many, many different opportunities. And so really working with students to pinpoint some interest area they may have and matching them with an agency or in a department, et cetera, that's going to grow them professionally and give them more experience in an interest area they may have. And then also, as an assistant professor, I teach a variety of courses on campus. I teach racial, ethnic, and gender inequality, social work interactional skills, practice skills, child welfare, you name it. We kind of just run the whole gamut as a team in the department. And so I really enjoy my position because I feel like the bookends of the program. So early on, I will do an introductory type of course with the students, get to know them to a certain extent, and then be able to help them find a good field education experience to end out their degree plan and experience at Briar Cliff.
Wow, that's good. I mean, social work, what we talked about earlier, is it's very extensive, right? So there's so many different things that you can touch on, and many fields that you can go into. And that's really cool that, everything you have is through one degree, right? If you have a lot of different passions and interests. Where are you from? Where did you attend high school?
I am from Sioux City and lived in Sioux City up until I was 15. I had attended West High School. And at that time, my family moved to Sloan, Iowa. So I graduated from Westwood High School, but really have lived in the Sioux City area primarily my whole life.
Westwood High School is actually one of the schools we service here at Western Iowa Tech, and I have students there too. So they're going to be really excited to hear one of their alumni and their success stories, right?
Yeah.
So where did you attend college for your undergraduate years, and what did you study?
I attended University of South Dakota, and I double majored in criminal justice and in social work. Ever since I would say about second grade, I was going to be a lawyer and eventually a judge. That was my career goal. I was going to make a difference in the world and change my surroundings of what I saw around me on a day to day and just lock up the bad guys kind of a thing. But by my third year in that program, who I am as an individual really wasn't resonating to some of the things that would have to be involved in being a lawyer. So I was really faced with, what do I do? Because I want to affect change. I want to do something. I want to help. But being in a courtroom is not going to be where my moral compass and who I am as a person really would do well. So I had a great advisor who suggested, maybe have you considered social work? And immediately I thought, oh, I don't want to work for child protection. I'm not interested in removing children or anything like that. And this advisor was very good about talking about the different types of things you could do with social work and coupling that with criminal justice and saying, you have an opportunity to work in prevention. And I also was never going to work with youth, and an internship in prevention with youth later. Has been my passion in my life's work, really, is working with youth in a prevention category. So
Was there any other resource, or did you have a community that really helped guide you in college?
well, I was an active member of the criminal justice club when I was in college, and they were very I was very involved, and they had a lot of opportunities of things that you could do. We spent some time doing alternative to violence projects in the Springfield State Prison. So that offered me the opportunity to work with inmates and that kind of a thing, some research classes in some urban settings, and even some time we spent in Washington, D.C., looking at different federal agencies and getting to tour those kinds of things and find out about that. And so that really helped to solidify where my passion was and the kind of area of social work I wanted to be in, but helped me see the world in a broader sense. And that was really the first time I had traveled anywhere and first time I flew, and all of those wonderful things were all really tied in with that particular group.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why there's a lot of student organizations on many campuses. The whole point is that you are part of an organization so you can kind of really dive deep into your field and have these experiences like going to DC and flying for the first time, right? And study abroad is one of those. And that's really great that you were able to experience that. Could you please tell us about when you decided to go back and get your master's and what that felt like for you?
Yes, actually, I was one of my very first professional jobs was working for a TRIO program. I was an educational talent search advisor and still would love to even do some of that work. It was one of my favorite jobs that I've ever had. But at that time, I was wanting to advance and do some more in-depth work, maybe do some clinical work. And there was the part-time University of Iowa program based in Sioux City was on the Briar Cliff campus, and that was where my office was. And so I figured now's as good a time as any. And I'd been in the field for a couple of years, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do career wise. And so I went ahead and applied and got in.
Oh, that's great. And I felt I bet it must have been so fulfilling and so empowering to get a master's title, right? And now you can be a professor, and now you've kind of increased your scope, right, of who you can kind of influence and the type of outreach you have from high school and middle school students to now university students, which is really great. What makes you so passionate about your work? I guess what is your drive?
My drive is really, like I said in the very beginning, just affecting change, wanting to have a more positive and safe environment for the community that I've been a part of my entire life. And I'm very blessed in my career. I was even able to work in the schools I attended. Woodrow Wilson Middle School, West High School, and some of my old stomping grounds, and working with students that may have been in similar circumstances as mine to get to where I've been able to attain, but even further than that. And so that's really been a passion of mine, just to really instill that belief and drive and empowering individuals to live their full potential. And so the wonderful part of it now as a professor is I get to help train the folks that are going to go and do that work, that they're going to be the boots on the ground. And so the generations that are going to be there of families that I was able to work with are still going to continue to benefit. And now I can just do that by proxy instead of necessarily being in the trenches and doing all of that. Although I do miss it sometimes. So
Yeah, and you've experienced all these different roles, and I guess what would be your success philosophy? What do you think makes someone feel successful, like yourself?
I think just being true to your calling. I honestly believe that there is something that really isn't even something you can put into words when you're doing what you were created to do. And it may not always be the most financially lucrative. Would I have been rich? Maybe. Would I have had more money as a lawyer? Probably. But as the fulfilled individual that I am, I wouldn't trade that. And so that's been my outlook and philosophy, is just going ahead to be fulfilled as an individual. Yes, of course, going to college, getting a college degree, getting an advanced degree, all will help in that category. But just being driven by your passion and living your authentic truth of who you are,
Mhm.
really, you can't trade that with dollars, in my opinion.
As a Black college student, I guess, were there any resources or student groups or mentorships that you found that kind of really helped you feel comfortable at a predominantly white institution, or kind of helped you keep moving forward and persevere?
Um, at USD at the time, there was not many that I knew of, but if there was the opportunity for do-overs, I would seek that out with more of my own curiosity or drive, or just really being wanting to find those things. I didn't really take a lot of initiative to do that. But my biggest piece of advice, if again could do a do-over, would be is to find those supports. So there was a student support services program on campus I would have benefited greatly from. I didn't find out about some of those things until after the fact. And so just really being honest and intentional and taking advantage of working with advisors and doing those orientation days and making sure that you're finding out, going to the activities fairs, doing those kinds of things helps to broaden your network. But also look for a mentor that may be outside of that college system, just a professional or someone that you can look to. Like, two names popped in my head when I was looking at some of the questions you gave me, one being George Boykin and one being Linnea Fletcher. They're both folks in the community as a kid that were doing some of the work that I eventually did similar things to, that I kind of always kept in my mind and my heart as a role model. And
Mhm.
so I would encourage individuals, especially if it's a student of color on a predominantly white institution, to look for those things. And if it means to be outside of the campus, then that is something that is a good thing too.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. That's great advice, and to make sure that you find that community that you kind of feel like you belong to,
Right,
even if it's not identity based, like the
right,
criminology club, right?
right,
Maybe that's the support you need. And so there's many different ways you can affiliate with different groups on campus, and it's
yeah,
important to find those out.
right.
Um, and I guess to end our conversation with one final question is there one piece of advice or something you want to let future Black college students know?
Yes, is you can. When it seems insurmountable and impossible and frustrating, and just keep talking, keep advocating for yourself, and listening, and just really know that you can.
Yeah, you can.
Hmm.
Period, right? And I think
Yep.
that's the best part is you can and
Yes.
you will. You just have to
Yes.
really keep going through and use your professors.
Yeah.
Margarite's great. She's
From the
here to help
professor
you.
hat, yes, I would say don't procrastinate. That's not just a buzz phrase for what they're telling you to get ready for college, but definitely, and communicate and reach out. Professors are a lot more understanding than what most people, I think, would give us credit for. We are human beings, don't live under rocks, nothing scary like that, but really working with students, even at this level, is just an extension of my social work skills. And to be able to be available to them and help empower them and move them forward is something that most professors that I know are definitely passionate about doing as well.
Yeah. No, and thank you for sharing all of your wisdom and your perspective as a professor. And thank you for your time, Marguerite. I know my students are going to get a lot out of this. And thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you.